The Vera Thomas Show. The Vera Thomas Show. The Vera Thomas Show. The Vera Thomas Show. Let's talk about it. 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 On the Vera Thomas Show. Let's talk about it. Yeah.
Hello, hello, hello. I am so excited about my guests tonight. And, I'm going to pull them up and then I'm going to share. Hello, how are you guys?
We're good. Thank
Doing
you.
well, thank you.
And, I'm going to share your history or your bios, but I want to ask our listening audience to please keep them lifted in prayer because we know that God does not put upon us any more than we can bear. But sometimes things seem so difficult that all we can do is hold on to his unchanging hand and know that our yoke is easy and our burdens are light because he said, cast your cares upon him because he cares for you. Now, this is not a church and I'm not about to preach a sermon. However, I just wanted to say that, and I'm just asking our audience to please lift them up in prayer. The prayers of the righteous avail much. Now, let me just share a little bit about Kristina and Herbert. First, they met in college and soon became inseparable. Christina followed her passion into teaching, and Herb followed his passion into business and entrepreneurship. After 32 years of marriage and raising two sons, you guys don't look old enough to be 30, have 32 years of marriage behind you. After 32 years of marriage and raising two sons, they have combined their experience, passion, and knowledge to found Vibrant Family Education and the Bringing Education Home podcast, helping families strengthen relationships by reimagining the education of their children and guiding them along the way to create happy, healthy, and successful children for better communities and a better world. And their podcast, Bringing Education Home, is hosted by the two of them. And each week they explore topics that help entrepreneurial families develop more fully into the family they want to become by discussing educational alternatives and educating the whole child. Whew. Now, with that, I am going to give each of you the floor individually and have you share your personal story and why you have such a passion to do the work that you do. And I'm going to start with you, Kristina.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much, Vera. It is a delight to be here, and thank you for asking that important question. Well, how did I get to where I am right now? Well, as our bio said, I was a teacher for 27 years, and in the public school system, I worked really hard every day to make sure that my children were learning, the children in my classroom were able to be growing and successful, and to really connect with parents that we were a team, that we would work together to help their child grow and develop and get the academics that they needed. When I first started, it was my dream job. I started teaching and pretending to be a teacher when I was 8 years old with my brothers. I would try to teach lessons and things like that. And then, of course, as I grew, I went ahead and went to my second grade teacher, and I told her, I'm going to take your job when I get older. And she looked at me and she goes, what do you mean by that? It's like, well, I want to become a teacher. I know at 8 years old, I want to be a teacher. And the beauty of that is that I actually grew up, graduated college, went back to my elementary school and taught with her for 1 year. So I helped her retire. So I didn't take her job, but I was right there when she left. And it was amazing to work with her for a year. And so my dream job was literally that. I knew since I was 8 that I wanted to be a teacher. And then, as unfortunately things changed and moved, my dream job kind of became my nightmare, because as the system changed, as our society changed, as our parents and our children changed, the policies and mandates from the school district and the state all became very, very heavy on me. And so it was one of those things where finally, whenever it was near the end of my teaching career, it's like, I need to do something different because I'm not connecting with parents. I'm not connecting with children the way I really always wanted to. Now, this thing called COVID happened, and it was a silver lining in some ways for me, because the last 2 years of my education teaching, I was in an online school, a specialized school for my school district. It wasn't what COVID teachers had to do. It was an actual online school, and I helped develop the kindergarten through second grade program for that online school. So I was teaching kids online constantly, and people were like, wait, kindergartners, first graders, second graders learning online, that's impossible. It's like, no, it's not. And it was actually the joy of my life. Like I said, it was the silver lining, because I went back and I was coaching parents, I was teaching kids, and I was making connections that I hadn't had in a really, really, really long time. And so then it's like, you know what? I need to go out and get in front of families closer right now. So that's when, after Herb tells the rest of his story, how we got here, it got me to think it's time to start Vibrant Family Education and really connect and help coach parents and really make education the best it can be for kids.
That is beautiful. That is so beautiful. And the thing is, what's so wonderful about it is the fact that at 8 years old, you knew what you
I knew.
wanted to do, and that you wanted to, and for you, for you to tell tell her, I'm taking your job. That's beautiful. And see, that's what I want to say to parents. Don't take lightly what your children say they want to do when they're little, because it may be, in most likely it's going to be the thing that drives them. It's going to be their purpose. It's going to be their passion. And before I get off into that, I'm going to bring up Herb. And Herb, I want you to share your story and tell us why you are so passionate about what it is that you're doing.
Well, like she said, we met in college in 1989, and she was going to be a teacher, and I was going into business. And as she was teaching, as I was doing business, I actually was working for other people at the start. And over the years of watching her teach, we would talk about education and ways that it should be taught, because even 27 years ago, there was a lot of things that had already started happening that we considered not really great for the kids. And over the years of watching her start at the beginning of her career, of crying at the end of the year because she was losing her students, to over the last couple of years crying because she had to go back to school and wasn't able to reach the children and with the problems in school. And so over the years, I actually started in entrepreneurship, and my last business was becoming really successful. And what I was planning to do with my businesses was to get enough money to start a school system without the interference, without necessarily the help of other people, to be able to reach kids like we wanted to. But then I really enjoyed snowboarding, and I started hurting myself. And the last fall was a pretty big one. The way I say is God wanted me to do something else. So he picked up Mount Hood and smacked me over the head with Mount Hood. And it took apart my life. It took apart my business. Um, I went from having 5 people working for me to ending up actually filing for bankruptcy. I didn't know at the time how badly I'd hurt my head, because my body had hurt in the crash too. And before this, there was one day, because we'd been talking about developing the school system for a year. There was one day where I just kind of woke up in my driveway. I got up really early in the morning, got dressed, and was standing outside of my driveway when the sun came up. And I'm like, this is weird. What am I doing here? And I had a vision of the school that we had been talking about. And with tears in my eyes, I'm like, I'm not worthy. And I heard a voice that basically said, not yet, but you will be. And then I hurt myself and things started falling apart. And this was several years ago. And I got really depressed. I actually just wanted to go home, the big home. And I didn't want to be here anymore. And I finally started getting help. And at the end of a coaching program where it's called Being True to You, I became an integration coach. And that really helped save me. But at the same time, I was still a mess. And somehow I ended up at a business meeting in Montana, which is a couple 100 miles from where we are.
12-hour drive.
I helped a friend move, and because I helped her move, she's like, oh, I'm taking you to this thing that my girlfriend's boyfriend's doing. I mean, like really bizarre, just out of nowhere. And I walk into this meeting, and it's a business meeting. And like I said, I had already gone bankrupt. I had lost everything except for her. And I like walked into this meeting. It's like, hey man, I'm in the wrong place. I shouldn't be here. But it was a 3-day event. And at the end of the 3rd day event of me being very resistant to everything, the last event was we actually got up and gave an introduction to a speech. And the way it went was, it's like, hey, it's this person's turn to get up and do a speech. This person's turn to get up and speech. And then he's like, hey, Herb, are you going to do this? Because I hadn't really been participating. But right before that speech, there was a prayer. There was this opening. They played this song. And during that song, I reached deep inside me and I opened up that space again. And I heard that voice again. And at the end of that, it said, tell them about your school. And it's like, you took that away from me. And it's like, I still did. It's not for you anymore. It's now for the parents that you're going to be giving this school to. And so at the end of the event, when he said, Herb, do you want to do this? I said, well, yes, I do. Now, the lady that took me there, she got this big old grin on her face because she knew what was about to happen. And everybody, the guy that was running it just kind of says, okay, well, come on up. And within a minute, he was like glued to his chair. His jaw was on the floor because I was doing what he was teaching. I had the confidence. I mean, the Spirit of God basically jumped into me. And so at the end of this, he's like, wow, do you really have what you were talking about? And I'm like, I don't, but we do. And so I called my wife and said, hey, you know what? We're going to start our school. And this is the investment that we're going to have to do. And because of the school system, because of COVID, because of really not wanting to get poked, things were kind of really changing, messing up with her. And so she, even as big of a wreck I was, she heard in me something that she hadn't heard in a while. And she agreed to go on this, to continue on this journey with me. And so we brought forth Vibrant Family Education out of that. We brought forth this school that we had been talking about and dreaming about for years. And so instead of coming from a position of power and all the money that I needed, we are coming from the bottom up and growing it in the most, I don't know, the organic way possible. And we're giving it back to our parents and to our families. Yep. So they have the opportunity to grow their family, and it's not us telling them, it's us learning together.
Wow. That is a beautiful story. And let me ask you, so, oh my goodness, that is such a beautiful story. So we never know. Yeah. And just think all the things that you went through, and yet the whole time you were being led, guided, and directed, and you could see God's hand in everything that was going on, including the unfortunate accident that
forced. I can see it looking back, but at the time, no, I could not see it.
Of
And
course.
again, I got really depressed. I got really hurt. Some of the issues with my brain, sometimes I still lose sight of it. But I also have this faith and this understanding that if we keep moving, if we keep going, that the vision that I saw will be brought forward. Not for me though, but for our parents and for our children and for the people who need it.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. And so, Herb, as how did your childhood impact on your adult life?
Well, I'm Gen X. I was born in 1970, so we are old enough to have two grown children. So I'm 54, and
Quit telling on me.
and all of the if you ever watch like Gen X videos on YouTube, it's like that's me. We were raised. My parents both went to work. It was like we had all day to do what we did. And I grew up in a really small town. So it would be like when it got dark, I would come home. There were times where my parents didn't know where I was all day long. And so, but it was a different time back then. It was a lot safer. It was much different. And unfortunately, that's also how we moved forward with our children. And we did a very hands-off approach because that's what we learned. If there was problems, you kind of fix it yourself because that's what we learned. Yep. And we tried to pass that off onto our children. And one of our children, actually, we had a really great relationship to him. With him, yeah. But, I think he actually ended up hurting his head too because he fell a couple of times and his personality kind of changed a little. Yeah. And then he married a woke woman. And
what does that? Wait a minute. What does that mean?
Well, we're a very conservative family. We have very conservative values, and the woke generation have much more liberal values. They have much different ideas about how things should be, and well, because we took our kids to see Santa, or we took our granddaughter to see Santa Claus, and that caused a problem with his wife, and we were deemed disrespectful. And so her family values took over for our family values. And so we haven't seen our granddaughter in 4 years. My son hasn't talked to me in almost 10. And it's just so weird what happened. Everybody who knows us, anybody who's ever talked with us or saw us with our children has no idea what happened. We don't even know what happened because he won't tell us. And so it's just everything fell apart with our son and we lost contact with our granddaughter.
Oh.
So one of the things that Vibrant Family is also working towards is to make sure that families don't lose connection, that families are close in their relationship and can build the communication skills so that doesn't happen. So out of our pain, we're really hoping to be able to guide other families and other people so that doesn't happen to them.
And that's also why we go after entrepreneur families as well. Because I was an entrepreneur. I was spending a lot of time working on my business, doing personal development, doing business development. And I wasn't there as much for my family. Anytime he ever asked me for anything, he got it, but we weren't there enough. And so what we're doing with our families and why we talk to entrepreneurs is so many entrepreneurs are out there building the stuff for their families. They're building the businesses. And when they get started, they don't know how much time it takes. They don't know that it takes over their life. And so we're putting that third leg under that stool so that not only do they have their business development, not only do they have their personal development, but we're taking their family along for the ride with family development, with the education at home, instead of waiting until I get successful, waiting until I get, and then we'll fix the problems. It's like, that's not going to work. You need to bring your family along with you on the journey. And so we really get into the start of that. We help them understand how they can do that from the start. And, because we don't want people to lose their families because they're working so hard for their families. And so by educating at home, by putting that third leg under the stool, they have their end goal from the beginning. and then they grow it instead of trying to fix it when they get there.
You know, you've unpacked a lot of stuff. And you may not want to talk about this, but I think in order for our audience to understand, because I know I can only imagine the pain from not being able to see your grandchild. I've been there myself because of a situation with their mother. And so I lost some connection. That's one reason why I'm moving back to Ohio. So that I can reestablish my connection with my grandchildren. But when it is important.
Yeah.
And so when I want, and if you don't feel comfortable, you know, saying this or sharing it, you can move on. But I want to understand the wokeness and how it impacts on you and your relationship.
Let me go.
You want to go?
Yeah, I get. Oops, so sorry. I get this one. Well, yeah. I mean, basically, it was different family values, right? We were very much, like he said, conservative. We wanted to have a good, solid base with our family and things like that. And then with her family, they were very much more open. They had different ideas and they saw things just differently. And so when those two different worlds, instead of combining and finding a happy balance, it was like, no, it's my way or not at all. And that's kind of where where we feel our son got stuck, was because he was like, well, no, I was raised with conservative values. I choose the person I'm going to marry. We stick with them because that's what we've done 32 years, right? But then at the same time, he wasn't able to bring his values forward into the relationship, or he didn't understand what we were trying to get at all those years, one or the other. But it was just, yeah, a riff that couldn't be broken or couldn't be melded back together, because we were very strong in our values. Like, no, if you act like this, that's not acceptable to us. So it's just one of those things that really looking at family values, explaining family values, really making sure that you are open with your communication is so super important.
Yeah, one of the problems that I had is I saw this developing. He's actually not with that woman anymore. And I saw that this was going to happen. So I backed off. I didn't want to be part of that problem. So I let him be himself. I thought, oh, eventually he'll figure some of this out and come back. And he just never did. And during this process, my dad also passed away. And let me tell you that when my son got married, 3 days before he got married, he changed his last name. Right. So that look on your face explains a generational difference. That explains the wokeness, because, you know, my name is very special. My mom and dad actually changed my name when I was 3, and they gave me a name that they wanted to go forward, because my dad had such a problem with his family that he wanted to disassociate from that. So, you know, the reason they call the man the man's parts the family jewels is because the boys pass on the name. Why does the father give away the bride? Because he's giving away someone in his family's last name, and that person is going to take somebody else's last name. So in my world, it was like my son was telling everybody that I wasn't a good father. And so
when he changed his name.
So when my dad died, it was hurtful. When my son did that, I would be like walking across the house, and then I would just collapse on the floor in tears, just completely broken. And let me tell you, losing a son is so much worse than losing a parent. I mean, it just absolutely gutted me. And I didn't have any recourse. I didn't have a way out. I felt, you know, betrayed, and it just was crushing. And so part of all of this as well is so that parents don't have to go through that. You know, parents still will, you know, stuff happens. But if we can open up those lines of communication, if we can help them understand, if we can grow family values, if we can show them the work, that if they can be around the parents while they're working and showing the growth, going to the meetings, traveling with their parents, creating that relationship that somehow we missed, then maybe they won't have to go through what I did.
Oh my God. Oh, such heavy duty stuff. Oh, and
You're
my
getting
heart.
it all, Vera. You're getting it all.
Well, I asked for it,
Yeah,
so.
most people don't go this deep into that story. So
But the thing is, it's important. That story is important for a couple reasons.
Mhm,
You talked about your parenting style,
mhm.
which your parenting style, and let me reiterate what I think I heard you say.
Yeah.
Your parenting style was more of that permissive type where you allowed your kids to think for themselves, to kind of make their own decisions because you were basically trying to make a living, right?
Right.
And it was also because of how you were raised as well,
right.
Yeah.
right? Which is a point
Mhm,
that we need to make
mhm.
because oftentimes parents raise their children the way that they were raised.
Or the complete opposite. It's one or the other.
Or
They
yes,
Mhm.
right,
Yeah, there's so many kids that go, "Oh, I'm not going to do that. When I have kids, I'm going to be so different from my parents. I'm because I was left out. Or I was this. I was
Mhm.
that. I'm going to
Yeah.
be different." Or
right,
me or a lot of parents is like, "Oh, I want it better for my kids. I want it to be easier for my kids." And we didn't necessarily go that route, but we did give our kids a lot of leeway. So when they wanted to do something, it wasn't a yes or no. It was like we would discuss it. We would talk about the good and the bad, and we would come to a decision together. And when he got old enough to actually start going places on his own, it wasn't, "Oh, you have to be back at this time." It was, "What time are you going to be back?" If he said he was going to be back at 9 and he got back at 9:30, well, that was a problem. But if he said he was going to be back at 10:30 and he got back at 10:30, that wasn't a problem. So the time wasn't the problem. It was being back when he said he was. And so it was like, so, and we also needed to know when he was traveling in which direction. And again, it wasn't so that we were keeping track on him. But what I told him, it was so that we would know where to look for the body if you don't show up. If you get in a car wreck, if you get in an accident, if you say you're going here and then you go over there and something happens and we can't find you, so it was more safety. It was more, and that's how we were raised. It's like, be back when you say, tell us when you're moving, let us know which direction you're going again, so that if something happens, we know where to look. And so that's how we raised our kids.
okay. And I'm not saying that it was a bad way to raise your kids. I'm not saying that at all.
Mhm.
We're looking at the different styles that exist,
Yeah.
the impact that those styles have on a family, and your style of that, allowing them, which was a good thing because it made them feel independent.
Mhm. Yeah.
But also it made them feel independent, but then was where your values and your beliefs were concerned, did that kind of, do you feel that because of the independence they also kind of felt like that was something they could just bypass, dismiss?
I think at the end, yeah, because it was, even though they were raised with core beliefs and we were a church family every week, kind of thing, but still at the end, it's kind of like, oh, well, I'm able to make my choices. So that's kind of what he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
we were very much about communication. It was like, and even if they got in trouble, it's like, you know what, if you do something wrong, tell us about it. We'll work it out. But if you lie to us, then it makes it worse. So the honesty, the communication was incredibly, incredibly important to us. And we very much talked about that. And so really, that's how we kind of know something really went wrong, is because he just stopped talking to us.
And he started breaking trust.
And again, this was after he turned 18. And so it was later. It wasn't in his teen years. It wasn't when he
Right.
was living with us. It was when he actually got out of school and when he was able to start making his own decisions that stuff got weird.
Right. And at 18, they're grown as far as they are concerned. My
That's right.
grandson told me, well, Grandma, I'm grown now. So I'm deciding to do this. It's like, okay, and what could I say? He was 18
Right.
and he had to make his own decision. And I had to accept that because, and I guess one of the questions we should even ask is, should children at the age of 18 have that much control and autonomy?
Well, according to our government, yes. According to brain science, no. According to family connection, probably not. But, our society pushes that a lot.
That's pretty societal. 150 years ago, people used to be married at 12, having families 14. By 14, 15. But then again, they only lived to 30 or 40 or 50 years old.
That's true.
But the brain science says that the last development stage of the brain is 25 years old, 25 to 28. And that's when they start to learn regret. That's when they can look back at their life and say, oh, this part wasn't. And so that's when I think the voting age should be raised to 25, because again, there's so many things that happen before you get to that level of understanding the repercussions of your actions during that last brain phase that causes problems. So, but I'm kind of weird that way.
Well, I mean, I think this conversation is very important, what we're talking about. Now, the voting age, 18. But
they're not allowed to drink. There's so many things they're not allowed to do at the age of 18, but they can decide the fate of the country. That's just kind of weird.
Well, okay. I hear you loud and clear. We're gonna take a break. I have a commercial I want to play. Okay. And then we're gonna come back. We're just beginning to unfold some things, and there's so much I want to talk to you guys about.
We'll be here.
Okay, let me play this right quick.
Hallelujah.
Hey there, Jason McNamara here, and I'm about to drop something truly game-changing your way. Are you tired of the same old 9-to-5 grind? Feeling stuck in obtaining the life you deserve and craving something more? Well, listen up, because I've got something you will not want to miss. Introducing the No More 9-to-5 Club Professional Membership, your ticket to freedom and success in the entrepreneurial world. With our professional membership, you'll get access to weekly coaching sessions, pre-recorded trainings, and a vibrant community of fellow game changers. You get access to technology that will allow you to automate passive income streams, as well as unlock all of our expert-led trainings in the back office so you know where to go for good advice when you need it. You will also use the club to build up a residual income stream with a 2-tier 33% affiliate commission unlocked at this level, allowing you to help people help themselves while generating a residual passive income stream for yourself. And here's the kicker. For a limited time, you can unlock all of this just for a $1.11 donation to our club foundation.
I like this one.
Your first month is on us. So what's holding you back? Click the link below, make your donation, and let's start building the life and business of your dreams together. Here at the No More 9-to-5 Club, we're all about turning dreams into reality and smashing through those glass ceilings.
That's what I'm talking about, Jake.
Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or just starting out, we've got the tools and support you need to thrive and evolve. And don't forget to sign up for our bootcamp training. It's the perfect way to kickstart your journey and unlock even more perks. So what are you waiting for? Join the No More 9-to-5 Club today, and let's make those dreams a reality. I can't wait to see you on the inside. You only get one now. Invest it in your better future. Let's make magic happen together.
No more 9 to 5. Let me tell you about this organization. It is a learning organization, a networking organization, a resource organization, and all of the people that are a part of it are like minds. Like minds in that they want to help themselves, but they also want to help be supportive and encouraging of each other. Meetings are every Thursday at 7:30, and also they have meetings on Tuesdays and twice a month on Saturday. Click the link, see the information, and join as a guest to see what it's all about. And keep in mind, right now membership is $1.11, and with that $1.11, that money actually goes to veterans. So they also proceeds from No More 9 to 5 is to help uplift, encourage, educate, inspire veterans. So it's a trifold situation. You can learn, you can earn, and you can be educated and provide resources. So check out No More 9 to 5. Okay. Now,
So
also,
actually, before we get going, I really like that commercial because like right at the first, I think it was like the second little clip, they played Atreyu pulling his horse out of the mud. That was the saddest scene in that movie when he lost his horse. And you know, and then so I was like, wow, ooh, I recognize that. I recognize that. So I really paid attention to that because of that. It was really good commercial. So
well,
thank you.
you need to check out No More 9 to 5. Both of you. I'm telling you, and the fact that you are working with parents and children, that network can possibly help you with with your education component.
Yeah.
So click the link and join and check it out. Okay. I'm
Well,
telling you.
we'll wait till after the show.
Not right now. Right. Please. Not right now, please. Okay. Now, one of the other things, well, we kind of talked about parental styles as it relates to personal, okay? And then, sometimes because parents were raised with that not so permissive way, they go to the other extreme and become very dictating, controlling, critical, belittling, and all those kinds of things. I want you to talk about that, and how do you, with your organization, help people identify the impact of that particular style?
One of the things that I really want parents to really think about is as they're deciding how they want to parent their children, or one of the things we talked about at the beginning of our program is values. So if you are setting up your family based on core values, and we can give you a sheet with like 100 different things that are considered values, and then you choose that, and then you look at that and say, oh, I want my family to develop along these values. That's going to really impact and inform the way you parent, the way you want to raise your kids. So as you're looking at your values and the goals for their education, you might go, oh, well, when I do this activity, maybe being too strict or being too harsh, it's not helping the love of learning that I want to develop in my children. Or maybe it's not developing the open communication I want with my children. So those kinds of things, that beginning step that we always do with our families is one of the best things to do to help to kind of, like I said, guide the parenting style. Then also we talk a lot about communication, because we know as adults that if you don't communicate, first of all, you can't get what you want. And second of all, you aren't going to be able to interact with people and really make a positive impact on somebody. So we always talk a lot about communication with the child, communication within the family. How does a family meeting look like? How can you problem solve together? Whenever, parents come and say, oh, my teenagers are doing da 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 da. Well, it's like, okay, how much have you talked to them about it? Have you sat down and had a family meeting, shared your expectations, listen to their feedback about why maybe they don't agree with those same expectations, and then what could be a compromise or a way that you can work together to get a little bit more of what both of you want. So that kind of, that's the way we want to impact parenting and parenting styles. Really look at your core beliefs and that communication and make it a win for the whole family.
And my out of the box kind of stuff is bringing in personality information. Mm-hmm. So if you know your child's personality and they're introverted, they're extroverted, the way they take in information, then you can start to learn to communicate more effectively, because not everybody has the same learning style. Not everybody has the same communication style. So you might be able to say something to one kid, one of your children, but if you said the exact same thing to another child, then they wouldn't take it the
They would
same
take
way.
it different, yeah.
So by understanding that your children are different, that they have different personalities, and maybe even starting to learn how to do that, then you can actually bring in more effective communication on an individual level, because so many times it's top down, and the family meeting is just a lecture from the parents of what you want your kids
Right.
to do. And the kids do need to feel heard. They do need to be seen. They might not necessarily get what they want. They might not necessarily get the outcome that they wanted, but if they are seen, and if they feel seen, if they feel heard, that even if they don't necessarily get what they want, they're still going to come out of that meeting realizing that as a family, there might be different goals.
Awesome. Now I'm getting ready to back up again. And again, tell me, okay, Vera, time out if you need to. But I need to know, since effective communications is so important in everything that you guys are doing, how has what you do with other parents and the communications, do you know where I'm going with this? And the communication that you are instilling in other parents where their children are concerned. Many of the kids are not grown kids. They're because we have to start early on. However, there are parents out here with grown kids that need also to know, how can I best communicate with my child that is grown and maybe in the same kind of scenario that you guys are in? Okay, so how do we communicate? What is the best way
Wow,
to
that's really difficult. So
we actually focus on the school age kids. So yeah, this adult communication, we haven't really breached that much. And that's something that we're hopefully learning as we're going. To kind of answer your question though, let's start at those teenage years, right? Because there's parents out there like, I have teenagers and I don't feel like our communication is strong enough, or we can't get what we need with our communication with our teenagers. And so one of the things that we've had lots of experts tell us through interviews and things, and from what we talk about with our parents, is that start small. You can't make these drastic, huge communication changes immediately, or your teenager is going to look at you like, okay, the aliens have taken you over. Who is this person who's trying to get me to talk, right? So instead, you have to start really, really small. And one of the suggestions is that whenever you start to breach those conversations, do it a side by side instead of a face to face. Because that way you're not like staring at them and they're not feeling super uncomfortable. So invite them to help you do the dishes, and side by side have that conversation without necessarily staring at them. Go for a drive. Oh, let's go get some ice cream or something. And as you're driving, again, you're not face to face, you're side to side. You can have a few more of those kinds of conversations. Start gently bringing that communication in. I really want to hear you. I really want to understand you. Let's talk about these things. And then when it gets to the family meeting, when you're at the table, then again, slowly, don't lay out 5 things on that table the first time you have a family meeting. Just talk about one thing and then slowly add to it. So that's the best answer that we can give, I think.
Okay, and good answer. Good answer. I accept. Now, but also we know that the most critical time to shape and mold and to help kids get that effective communications ability starts at a very early age. It starts before they're even in kindergarten.
Mm-hmm.
It starts at the point in time when they are just beginning to talk.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so you know also that I work with kids and their parents as well, and understanding how important it is to embrace your child at a very early age. And again, Kristina is a perfect example of how at 8 years old, she knew what she wanted to be. There are kids, 3 and 4 year olds, who know what they want to be. And so being able to nurture that, encourage that, provide resources that are going to help them. She started teaching her brothers and sisters. Oh, I don't know. Do you have a sister?
No,
Oh,
just brothers.
she started teaching her brothers, you know, at an early age. And they allowed her to do it on top of that. So
Exactly.
it's very important that, what Kristina and Herb are doing to help with their, as a matter of fact, let me pull I do have another commercial, but before I do, I want to pull up your school. Well, actually, is it a school or is it a resource for schools
Okay, so
or a combination?
yeah, Vibrant Family Education is resources for parents, coaching and family development for parents that turns into school as you go on. So if you're working with us and you choose to educate at home, which is what we call homeschool, we don't like that term homeschool, we like education at home instead. And you get to a point where you are educating at home, you're doing fine, but then you get stuck and you want some support. That's where the continuing education and then continuing school aspect comes in, because then I come in as coach, as teacher, as tutor, and help the family through the school system, through the homeschool, through the education at home. So it's a coaching program, and then it continues on into kind of a school.
And we also have, online curriculum, and we help the kids get set up and the parents set up through the online curriculum. And she, as a certified teacher, can help the parents understand that their kids are on point, that they are where they need to be. Because so many parents was like, oh, push their kids more, or it's like, oh, they're not ready. They're, are they ready? And so having a certified teacher through the education process of being educated at home also helps you understand that your kids are developmentally where they're supposed to be, that they are learning to mastery, that you can understand where to push more, where to come, oh, you need to come back and get more here. So that's where having a certified teacher who taught for 27 years and absolutely loves children really helps in that manner. So we do it's more of a hybrid. So we do set up the school, the online stuff for the children as well.
If that's what the parents wants, yeah.
Okay, but you're doing it individually with each family versus having a brick and mortar or even an online educational institution.
Correct, yes.
Okay, so you are helping parents who want that homeschool experience or education at home experience.
Yeah, because we don't want them to have school at home, because school is like so many hours and you're sitting here. It is so much more individualized than that. Most people think, oh, my kids are at school 7 hours a day, I don't have time to teach them 7 hours a day. It's not that. It's maybe 2 or 3 hours a day, and your biggest responsibility is to make sure that they're getting there. You're not having to be the one that does the teaching. You're just the one responsible
if they take the online option. Yeah.
Right.
Which in essence, what you're doing as a parent, you're guiding them through their educational experience, which goes beyond sitting at the table and taking tests.
Yes, it's the whole child. We're developing.
It's the whole child. So being able to experience.
That's kind of why we also use an entrepreneurial model and why we work well with entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurs understand the continuing education. Because like I said before, they're always taking business development classes. They're always taking personal development classes. So you work on something for 3 to 6 months, you understand it, and then you start to implement it. Then you pick the next thing that you're going to work on. It's the same thing that you do with the children's education. You work on this aspect and you get it done until the children understand it, and then you move them to the next aspect, and it's a continuation of learning. It's not like a grade level here, a grade level here, and it's not like, oh, I can't wait till I turn 18 and get out of school and then I'm going to turn my back on all of this stuff. You actually develop that continuous learning lifestyle so that they're always growing, they're always learning, and if they go into entrepreneurship, they're always going to be doing that anyway. If whatever they go into, that it just gives them a more breadth of life and experiences throughout everything.
And that's because it is an applied learning experience. You are applying whatever it is you're learning to your life. So if it is a math subject, that may include measuring to prepare a meal. It may include a countdown for some sports activity. And so it's not just, it's applied learning. That's what I love. Applied learning. And where sociology and social studies is concerned, going into the midst of those environments rather than reading about it, actually experiencing those things, making it applied. And when it is applied, it is sustained, because they will not only learn it, but it will be sustained within them, because it wasn't something that was rote, like just remembering stuff.
Right. So if you're going to go on a vacation, you can learn about where you're going. You can learn about the geography. You can learn about the different architecture. You could learn about the sports teams. And then when you go there, you can make the whole thing a learning opportunity and bring what they learn to life. So you can study an area and then go visit it and bring it all back and
Absolutely.
make it real.
Applied education.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Right. And then when you're cooking is math, cooking is chemistry, cooking is health and nutrition. There's so many aspects to cooking that you, and again, the family connection and the love that you can get in the cooking. So, you teach your children to cook with so many different aspects.
Absolutely. And I got to go to a couple of commercials. I'm going to be playing 2 at a time so that we don't, all right.
Mama Knows creates high quality products that are available to be used on multiple textures of hair. Her goal is to bridge the gap to stop people from having to use multiple products because of families with multiple hair types. Her products are currently being used on men, women, children of all ethnicities. Mama Knows products are available at www.mamaknowsproducts.com. That's www.mamaknowsproducts.com. You can also find her on Instagram at Mama Knows Products, because Mama knows what you need.
Let me tell you about these products. First of all, they smell great. They are for all ethnicities. They're for children, men, women, and again, all ethnicities. Shampoos, conditioners, moisturizers, hair serums, and again, they smell great. They are wonderful products, and I suggest you check them out. Why? Because Mama knows what you need. So go to mamaknowsproducts.com.
Get ready for an extraordinary weekend from May 9th to the 12th in Miami, Florida, where minds, bodies, and souls converge. Calling all entrepreneurs, business owners, professionals, and aspiring visionaries from across the nation. You're invited to the Global Awaken Trinity Summit. Join us for an immersive experience where you'll learn from the best of the best speakers in the industry and hang out with the brainiest minds in business. Network with experts from finance, personal development, branding and marketing, and many other niches. All states are welcome. Indulge in gala VIP dinner and pick the minds of speakers and mentors over a drink. Elevate your journey with mastermind sessions aboard a yacht in Miami, Florida. Don't forget to register. Let's see you there. Mark your calendars and be part of this transformative event. Visit www.globalawakenedevents.com for more information and secure your spot today. For tickets, call 404-992-3971.
Instead of going to the link that they mentioned, check out the link that I just put in the chat. And let me tell you, if you are a speaker and you want to get more visibility, and you want to be on stage with well-known, famous other authors and speakers and entrepreneurs, you want to check out what it takes to be one of those speakers on that platform. If you want to just glean the education from those speakers, then you also want to check out how to register. So go to the link that I put in the comments that's also on the screen, and or call Kessie at 404-992-3971. Again, that's 404-992-3971, and tell her you heard it on the Vera Thomas Show. And again, this is an event for speakers that want to be more visible, want to hobnob with other professional, well-known speakers, be on a yacht. Can you imagine being on a yacht? Oh man, sounds like a romantic opportunity for couples who are also speakers, hint, hint, and for singles who want to just be out there to share their stories and what it is that they are trying to do. And let me play something else, and then we're almost out of time. Oh my goodness. I do have another one that I want to play right quick. Let's see. Chat bridge is a little too long.
Your trauma talks. Your trauma talks. Your trauma talks. Your trauma. This is your trauma. Life is full of surprises. But you, because your trauma is your fault. Life has kicked you to the curb, but you have picked yourself many times, because your trauma is yours. Your trauma, mental health, your city, where you will be set to stage and tell your trauma.
I know that was pretty dramatic. Trauma talk. This is for a conference. Actually, the April one is full, but now they're looking for speakers for June. And we're looking for speakers that have gone through stuff, who have experienced trauma, and who are willing and ready and able to share their story to help others who are going through similar experiences, or if not similar experiences, just knowing no matter what it is you may be going through, this too shall pass. And also being able to provide some tools, some words of encouragement, some words of support to people that are going through. So your trauma talk in New York City is coming up in June, and the venue is on Broadway. So yes, your trauma talk. The link is in the chat. Okay, I'm gonna I do have another commercial, but I'm not gonna play it because we need to finalize some things here. I'm gonna give the two of you the floor and let you just kind of finalize and wrap it up, and then we'll close it out. But oh my God, let me shut up.
So real quick, since we're on the talk of trauma, Kristina has a signature talk that she does on how, if you are going through a traumatic event, how to talk with your children, how to not pass that trauma on to them. And it's just a wonderful talk.
Well, you need to go to New York.
All right, let's get me there.
Yes, the link is in the chat. I'm telling you, I plan to be there. So, let's go together. Maybe we can even share a room together.
There we go. Yeah.
So check it out though. Because really your message, your story is so needed because like I said, 64% of adults have their own trauma, drama, and abuse from childhood. And they're spilling over into parenting. So they need to hear what you have to say. Okay.
All right. Awesome. Well, Vera, it has been a delight being here, and we so appreciate the real talk, right? Because we, as co-founders of Vibrant Family Education, we don't always get to tell our whole story, and you've been able to let us share some of that. So thank you very, very much. But what I hope by sharing our story is that parents realize that, yes, it might be messy raising kids. Yes, it might be crazy choosing your education for your child and not really knowing exactly how you're going to do it, but that you are the empowered parent. That's what this whole topic has been about. Become an empowered parent. Make the best choices for your child, for your family, and ask for help when you need it. Nobody's expected to have all of the answers, but we are expected to do our research, make the best choices, and do it out of love and caring and compassion for our children. Our children are our future, and if we don't stop the mess that's happening right now, then it will continue to be a mess in our country and in our world. And instead, let's raise our kids to be independent, but also respectful, responsible, and knowing that they can also make a difference as they grow and are happy, healthy, and successful.
Yep, and I take a slightly harder edge with that because our education system is severely messed up. All across the country, our children aren't able to read. Most of them are graduating not able to read at a 5th grade level. And even in the 3rd grade, that's when it really starts happening. So even most 3rd graders aren't able to read at a 3rd grade level. So if you care about your children's education, if you want, if you
different.
see the problems that are happening in the school, even if everybody banded together and tried to fix them, it's going to take years and your kids will be out of school by that time. So if there is any way that you have the ability to take your kids out of school, do it. The sooner you do it, the sooner that the better it is for your kids. And even colleges are recognizing now that children who are educated at home are so much more likely to graduate from college. They're so much more independent. They don't have to be babysat at a college. They have more skills. They're more competent. So even colleges are looking for the homeschooled children, the educated at home children. And so if you, again, get your kids out of school if you can,
or wrap around them and make sure they're having the other experiences they need outside of their regular education to make them successful.
And I have put in the chat how to get in touch with Kristina and Herb. It has been an honor, a pleasure, a privilege to have you on my show. And before we leave, I just want to say to our listening audience, please support the Vera Thomas Show. And you can do so either through Cash App, instilling at $ instill great, Venmo at VT1117, or Zelle, Vera Thomas Show 1117 at gmail.com. We need your support. It costs money to do these podcasts and these shows. And so we need your support and your encouragement, and we really would appreciate you doing so. And so this information is also going to be in the comments, and feel free to take advantage of being able to help this person do what she's trying to do to make a difference in the lives of our families, our children, our people, our world. And so I thank you guys for being here, and I appreciate it so much. And I appreciate your vulnerability and opening up and sharing, because I know you probably weren't expecting me to ask the questions that I did, but I felt like it was necessary for people to kind of see that we do this work, but we also have things that we're dealing with too, to be the best version of ourselves, you know? And so I appreciate you being here. And with that, I want to say to our listening audience, God bless you, and we will see you on Tuesday. And I'm going to ask the two of you to hold on just for a minute, okay? So again,
The Vera